see we have a few attendees who are logging in now. We'll give everyone another minute or two to get logged in, and then we'll kick everything off. All right, so it is the top of the hour here, so we'll go ahead and get things kicked off. For those of you who are new, or this might be your first Lunch and Learn, just to give you a little bit of background here, essentially what the session is it's your hour. We'll have a full hour for you to ask any questions that you have. If you need help working through an issue, any decisions related question, we are here to help you work through that and get those answered. There's a couple of different ways that you can ask that question. I believe you can raise your hand and I can allow you to talk, and you can come off mute and ask that question directly. Or if you look in your Zoom panel, there is the option to submit questions through the chat feature, or you have a Q&A feature where you can submit those questions as well. So we'll give everyone a minute to go ahead and ask their questions. And it looks like Jimmy, you've already submitted a question here, so we'll dive in and get started. So is there a way to add an outcome on a close button or the close window X in the top bar if visible? Great question, Jimmy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'll get out of my slides here. And we'll jump into the Decision Studio. So I'll address the X in the top bar if visible. There is no way to add an outcome path for that default kind of X. And maybe what I'll do is I'll talk through that after I build a form. But as far as if you add a close button and you want an outcome path for that, what you'll actually want to do is use our standard buttons and just name it close. So that way you can have an outcome path. So I'm just going to build an example form here. And I guess actually I should make sure anyone who's on the call, Sabrina, Ismoni, can you guys see my decisions portal?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. All right, so Jimmy, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to add two buttons here. So if I add, maybe we have a submit button, we're going to have an outcome path for our standard buttons here. But I believe what you're talking about is our close button. So this is a different button type. And for the close button, you're not going to have an outcome path in the flow. So it's just going to actually close the form and it's going to cancel that flow. However, if you want that functionality of being able to have an outcome path, my recommendation would be to use our standard button and then just set the outcome name as close. So that way, when I go and drop this in a flow, so I'll go ahead and create my flow here. I'll go ahead and add my form. So that way, when I add that, I am going to have a close path. So maybe you want to perform some additional logic. If they choose to close, you can absolutely do that. Now I'll go ahead and run this so we can talk through the X button that you're talking about. So when I debug this, I'm going to see my submit button and my close button. And I believe what you're talking about is this X or close option at the top. There is no way to actually add an outcome path for that. However, you can actually hide this top panel.
I've hit it before.
Okay, got it.
So I was just trying to make it useful if we could.
Gotcha.
It'd be nice to catch that. I tried doing a catch step to see if I could catch the cancel or catch the close, and it wouldn't even catch it.
Gotcha. Yeah. So my recommendation would be, maybe hiding that and then just adding a standard button and naming it close.
Yep. That's what I've been doing, but I was just seeing if there's another way to do it.
Gotcha. Yep. Great question.
Cool. Thanks.
All right, we'll give everyone some time to enter in any of those additional questions you have. And for any of those, or for those of you who joined after I went over the Zoom panel, I just wanted to remind everybody there is a couple of different ways to ask questions. There is a chat feature that you can use, or in that Zoom panel, you also have a Q&A feature, or you can just come off mute and ask your questions as well. And if you can't come off mute, there is the ability to raise your hand, and then we'll give you the ability to come off mute. All right, so we have another question from Jimmy. When using the send email step, what's the best method for sending to groups? Is it the group name or the group name, group ID? Does it matter? And the way that I've always done it in the past is it actually has to be, let's see here. Let me go grab my send email step. So when it's looking for a list of strings, what it's actually looking for is a list of email addresses. So if you want to send an email to a group of users or every account within that group, we do have a step that allows you to get all of the accounts within a group. So if I go to my integration category and I go to internal services, we have this group service. And we can get all accounts for a group. What I would recommend, let me go ahead and just get rid of this form, is using this step. Then you pass in the group ID. And then the output of this step is going to be a list of all of those accounts. So now when I go to the send email and I change this from constant to select from flow, I can drill into the outputs for my get accounts for group. And I can go in there and I can select all of the email addresses for that account. And Jimmy, just want to make sure that that fully answers your question, or if I was going down the wrong path there.
Nope, that's it. Actually, okay. I tried using the ID and the group name, and it seems to work, but it's
interesting.
The email address that it looks like it's going to on the Outlook is like this MXOB. I'll put it in the chat. It's a weird looking number.
Gotcha. I've actually never. I did not even know we could do that. So that's good to know. I'll do some testing with that.
Yeah, this is the email address it says it's going to, but it's coming to my inbox.
Gotcha. Yeah, I would just to avoid getting that weird kind of email address, I would recommend going this route.
Yep, I like that.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Of course. All right, looks like we have a question from Carlos. The main page that shows the applications has tiles that load smoothly. I would like to know if there is any configurable method to be able to dynamically add tiles to a page as the page seems to behave. So Carlos, can we drill into that question a little bit more?
Yes, when you go to the apps with the main apps page in the sessions on the left. Yes, when you see this, I cannot recreate this environment when I try to for a different part when I design a page. You have those tiles, which is very interesting because each one that represents a new app you can show in that way. I think our tiles or not.
Gotcha. So this particular page, this was designed using our page designer. So what we can do here is, bear with me.
Oh, Jessica,
one moment. What I'm going to do is I'm going to. And Sabrina, did you have something?
I thought you had cut out. I was just making sure.
No, thank you. All right, so I'm trying to see if we can look at this page, and bear with me one moment. I'm going to ask in our chat if somebody knows what that page name is so we can open that up. Bear with me one moment here, Carlos.
Yes.
And then just for clarification, you want to know what's kind of driving these? Are these tiles here that, or what's the page component?
In a way, when I design a page, I see I have to define where a tile can be supplied, but I didn't find a way, like in a data repeater, to produce something automatically.
Oh, I see. Okay, so being able to, if you add something new, have a new tile be added automatically in like a repeater-like fashion.
Yeah.
Okay, I see. And I believe we might actually be using, this might actually be HTML or some custom CSS that we're using that allows us to have this behavior. With our default simple tiles or the way that we design pages, I don't believe, and Corey, I see that you've joined now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe there's a way to, you know, if a new item has been added, for a new tile to automatically get created and added in that fashion, as if I believe what you're getting at is kind of like a data repeater function. You can add a new item and it will show up.
Understand.
And sorry that I joined a little bit late, but is the question trying to get a data repeater to function or have the behavior of growing in this snake-like pattern where it kind of grows left and then down and then left and then down? Or is the question, how do I just have it show up at the bottom of the list and grow upward?
In a way, going ahead with the new one where it can be loaded.
I'm not sure I understand what you mean. And I'm sorry that I'm, again, I'm sorry that I'm jumping in and talking half-cocked here.
It's okay. Here in this page, you have a free space in the right, but in the next time you will have a free space in the bottom and so on.
So I'll try and repeat the question back, and Carlos, correct me if I'm wrong. So I think what Carlos is asking is he kind of wants the ability to, when a page loads, it not have not have like static tiles that are set, but from page load to page load, there might be, you know, maybe on one load there's 5 tiles, and then on another load there's 8 tiles. But how can we, without using, you know, visibility rules, is there a way to have them load next, or kind of like in this fashion, as you mentioned, the snake fashion? So have it go from left to right, and then once the left to right fills up, it then progresses down to the next line. And Carlos, I don't believe off the top of my head that is possible without using some custom HTML.
Okay.
Was that the correct way to phrase that question?
I think it's clear, because I didn't find a default way to do this. I think it's clear. I have to be in that particular way.
Okay. Yep. So this is some custom HTML for this page. All right, let's see here. All right, so we have a question from Christopher. So a little bit of background before we ask the question. We can define a relationship between 2 entities, example, order entity and order item entity, which makes showing them together on a report nicely. Now the question is, can we define a relationship between a decisions entity and a custom view in a database? Let me go into,
And for clarification, this would be a view within the decisions database as opposed to a remote database or something crazy like that.
Okay, and it's within the same, so it's the same backend server, SQL
Right.
server. Okay, so, and you know about this add relationship?
Right.
Okay, and you're saying that there is, when I've selected, my table, I can't then select a view.
I think that's the question. So I think that's what I'm coming up to. Can a view be, can that actually relate to a view?
Well, I think there's a few views within the table, by default within decisions. Can you click on one of the drop downs for
Sure.
table and just type in view?
Yep.
Database view. I don't know if that's an actual
actual
view.
view, yeah.
Try VW. That's a popular abbreviation.
Yeah, but it doesn't.
Oh,
Yeah, maybe it does. Yeah, those are views. Yep.
So the short answer seems to be yes.
Okay. And you can treat the views similar to how you treat tables within decisions. And once we have, for this first table, change that to be account. And this is just going to be a throwaway example.
sure. I'll get it one of these tries. Bear with me one moment here, guys.
Are you looking for entity account?
Yep.
There we go.
That's it. All right. And then on the second table, do VW. And we'll do all accounts perms for folder. And then field 1 for both of these, just select the first row. Sure. All right. So normally we would choose, what is the primary key? What is the foreign key for these particular joins? But for now, we'll just have this as a dummy relationship where everything's made up and the relationships don't matter. And click add relationship at the bottom. Oh, we need to give it a name.
Call this our example relationship. How about that?
Sounds good to me. And then when we create a report and we use that first data source, so entity account.
I think here you may have to call it account.
Yeah, because they do some voodoo naming. So account, and we click add again, we have this add related table.
Ah, look at that.
And it's going to do that because it's like, there's nothing there.
Oh, you have a really wonky join criteria, so.
Oh, look at that. It's got all of the view
all of the
fields
views
as well.
And on the right-hand side, we can define how we want that join behavior to be. So click on the VW all accounts perms. So we can define if we want it to be an inner join, a left join, a right join.
Probably go with left to look at something interesting.
Does this give you a good place to?
I think so, yes.
Good place to go. Awesome.
Thank you, Corey. And thank you, Christopher. Great question. We'll give everyone some time to come up with some more questions they might have. I'm happy to do a couple of knock knock jokes while you guys wait to come up with some questions here. No, I'm kidding. I won't subject you guys to my terrible knock knock jokes.
I was excited for those, Jessica.
I'll send you some later. All right, we'll give everyone another minute or two here to get in any questions they might have. If not, then we'll go ahead and end this session early. And I just want to thank everyone for their participation today and submitting some really great questions. I even got the chance to learn something new. So thank you, Corey, and thank you, Christopher, for that question. All right, we'll give it one more minute here. All right, I'm terrible with time, but I believe that was a minute. We don't have any additional questions. So we'll go ahead and cut the session early, but just as a reminder for everybody, you know, if you're sleeping or you're dreaming and a question just comes to you in the middle of the night and you really want to get it answered, just remember we do have these lunch and learns Monday through Thursday, 12 o'clock to 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So feel free to join us tomorrow, feel free to join us Thursday, and we'll get those questions answered for you. All right, thanks everyone. Have a great afternoon.